You are here to enable the divine purpose of the universe to unfold. That is how important you are. My name is Jessie Burgardt, and I'm reading The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle for 80 days. Today is the last day, day 80. And I have really loved reading this every day live. And for all of you out there who've joined me, thank you so much. It's been a blast. So let's dive in, and then I'll say something at the very end too. But the very last section here, chapter 10, is called The Power to Choose. And someone's questioning Tolle. They ask, what about all those people who seem to actually want to suffer? I have a friend whose partner is physically abusive toward her, and her previous relationship was of a similar kind. Why does she choose such men? And why is she refusing to get out of that situation now? Why do so many people actually choose pain? And he responds, I know that the word choose is a favorite New Age term, but it isn't entirely accurate in this context. It is misleading to say that somebody chose a dysfunctional relationship or any other negative situation in his or her life. Choice implies consciousness, a high degree of consciousness. Without it, you have no choice. Choice begins the moment you disidentify from the mind and its conditioned patterns, the moment you become present. Until you reach that point, you are unconscious, spiritually speaking. This means that you are compelled to think, feel, and act in certain ways according to the conditioning of your mind. That is why Jesus said, forgive them, for they know not what they do. Many highly intelligent and educated people who are also completely unconscious, which is to say, completely identified with their mind. In fact, if mental development and increased knowledge are not counterbalanced by corresponding growth in consciousness, the potential for unhappiness and disaster is very great. Your friend is stuck in a relationship with an abusive partner, and not for the first time. Why? No choice. The mind, conditioned as it is by the past, always seeks to recreate what it knows is familiar with. Even if it is painful, at least it is familiar. The mind always adheres to the known. The unknown is dangerous because it has no control over it. That's why the mind dislikes and ignores the present moment. Present moment awareness creates a gap, not only in the stream of mind, but also in the past future continuum. Nothing truly new and creative can come into this world except through that gap, that clear space of infinite possibility. So your friend, being identified with her mind, may be recreating a pattern learned in the past in which intimacy and abuse are inseparably linked. Alternatively, she may be acting out a mind pattern learned in early childhood according to which she is unworthy and deserves to be punished. It is possible, too, that she lives a larger part of her life through the pain body, which always seeks more pain on which to feed. Her partner has his own unconscious patterns, which complements hers. Of course, her situation is self created, but who or what is the self doing that creating? A mental emotional pattern from the past, no more. Why make a self out of it? If you tell her that she has chosen her condition, or situation, you are reinforcing her state of mind identification. But is her mind pattern who she is? Is it herself? Is her true identity derived from the past? Show your friend how to be the observing presence behind her thoughts and her emotions. Tell her about the pain body and how to free herself from it. Teach her the art of inner body awareness. Demonstrate to her the meaning of presence. As soon as she's able to access the power of the now and thereby break through her conditioned past, she will have a choice. Nobody chooses dysfunction, conflict, pain. Nobody chooses insanity. They happen because there is not enough presence in you to dissolve the past, not enough light to dispel the darkness. You're not fully here. You have not quite woken up yet. In the meantime, the conditioned mind is running your life. Similarly, if you're one of the many people who have an issue with their parents, if you still harbor resentment about something they did or did not do, then you still believe they had a choice, that they could have acted differently. It always looks as if people had a choice, but that is an illusion. As long as your mind is with its conditioned patterns runs your life, as long as you are your mind, what choice do you have? None. You're not even there. The mind identified state is severely dysfunctional. It is a form of insanity. Almost everyone is suffering from this illness in varying degrees. The moment you realize this, there can be no more resentment. How can you resent someone's illness? The only appropriate response is compassion. And then someone asks him or says, so that means nobody is responsible for what they do? I don't like that idea. And he says, if you are run by your mind, although you have no choice, you will still suffer the consequences of your unconsciousness, and you will create further suffering. You will bear the burden of fear, conflict, problems, and pain. The suffering thus created will eventually force you out of your unconscious state. And then they respond again. What you say about choice also applies to forgiveness, I suppose. You need to be fully conscious and surrender before you can forgive. And then he responds, forgiveness is a term that has been used for 2,000 years, but most people have very limited view of what it means. You cannot truly forgive yourself or others as long as you derive your sense of self from the past. Only through accessing the power of the now, which is your own power, can there be true forgiveness. This renders the past powerless, and you realize deeply that nothing you ever did or that was ever done to you could even touch the radiant essence of who you are. The whole concept of forgiveness then becomes unnecessary. And then they ask, and how do I get to that point of realization? And he says, when you surrender to what is, and so become fully present, the past ceases to have any power. You do not need it anymore. Presence is the key. Now is the key. They ask, how will I know when I have surrendered? He says, when you no longer need to ask the question. That was so good. All right. So, yesterday, I think Jolly Rogers T-shirts asked if we can do some sort of like follow-up meeting if anyone wants to talk about what, Eckhart Tolle and their experiences with him and what their aha moments. So what I'm going to do is create a Google Meets chat. And I'll post it in the comments here, but I'll also create another video or two, and then I'll post it on my social media too. So anyone who wants to join can. And I plan on making it 11 a.m. next Saturday. That's Eastern time, New York time. Yeah. So all you'll have to do is click on the Google Meets link, and we can share with each other what we experienced over the last 80 days. Or even if you haven't been following it all, it'll still be fun to talk about it if you've read any of his works. All are welcome. So thank you so much for joining me, and I hope you have a marvelous rest of your day. Ciao.